Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. Also, if you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Mind Warped, Flatzoid, Chocolate Saiyan, 10th Man, and Spurs Chemo. Very good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
What's up?
Hello.
Can I just say from
morning.
the start? Let me just say from the start, Spurs. If you start talking too much about nonsense, I'll kick you myself.
Don't kick anybody.
Let's not have a shitty conversation. Let's have a proper conversation about real science.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we've also got a few people in Discord as well, so hello to you in Discord. We're going to run through the housekeeping regardless of what's going to be discussed. So, any signs of Earth curvature?
Nope.
Nope, not the Earth-based variety.
Nope. Even the courts ruled nope.
Feel free to pipe up in the Discord server. Any evidence of axial rotation?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No apparent distance.
No.
Can't measure it.
Right, any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
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 Isn't this going well? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Nope, not at all.
No.
Okay. Not last but no means least. Any evidence of the R value?
Nope.
Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, everyone. You okay?
Very well indeed.
Hello.
Good to have you. Just in time for the last housekeeping question. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
You're going to let me have this then?
Definitely not.
It's the last one, so feel free to expand all you like.
Not, no,
No.
not a lot. Zilch, that's the big O. Not a sausage, not a drop, not the tiniest spot. Nothing whatsoever at all.
Okay,
I love
so
it.
when I was getting my coffee together, I could just about overhear Spurs begging the question of vacuums and things. So get into it, Spurs. Off you go.
Hang on. We did do this yesterday, though, right, Spurs?
Good what?
Whatever you're about to do now with vacuums, feathers, and magnets, we did it yesterday, right?
What, on the show here?
Yeah.
I don't know, I wasn't on the show yesterday.
There you were.
I was at the start, but I didn't stay for the entire show.
Are we going to progress the conversation from yesterday?
What happened yesterday?
We didn't really talk much to Spurs yesterday, bro.
I think I'd take that as a no.
Were you not? Am I getting my facts wrong here? Were you not? It might have been on Jose's channel.
Yeah,
Did you not
it might
do
be.
the presentation that you're about to do right now? Did you not do this yesterday on this channel?
No.
Right, so it must have been on Jose's. Right, so let's start with somewhat clear, a concise statement of what you're about to demonstrate and what your point is before we do it.
Well, I'm not going to demonstrate. I'm just highlighting that things do not fall at an equal rate in a vacuum. That was it.
Okay. Things don't fall at the same rate in a vacuum. Right,
All
go
right,
ahead.
Just before, no, hold on. Why are you telling us this?
because that's what we're told happened.
Yeah, but yeah, so what? What's the point of it though? Who cares?
They teach children things fall at the same rate.
Yeah, but so what? Even if it's true, if I concede immediately, what's proven? Who cares? That's my point.
Who cares about whether things fall at the same rate? Born Earthers care about that.
Yeah, he's right. Ball
But why?
demand that everything falls at the same rate.
This is like pulling teeth. And why would that be important to this conversation?
Because Anthony just brought it up.
No, God, for the love of God. This is called Flat Earth Debate. Presumably you're making this point for a reason. Unless you are, it's just a random point. Spurs! God, I've tried to lead you. Don't interrupt me while I'm trying to bloody lead you even more without overtly just stating. Tell us the specific reason why you're talking about things dropping in vacuums.
The borders say that this is a phenomena or whatever they think it happens. And I was able to show or see that it doesn't happen. That's all.
But who cares? If they say that a flaming bush appears and you say it doesn't and you prove that it doesn't, who cares? Does this have any relevance to the subject matter? It does. I know it does. You're making the example for the love of fuck.
Well, I was just making it before, but you said you can't play videos, so I'm not going to be able to demonstrate, am I? So we just have to explain it. It doesn't fall at the same rate. People have to check it out.
I heard. What's the... Adam, is it just me? What's the relevance to this conversation about our Earth and the world that we experience? Other than it just being a random factoid, what's the point of you telling us this?
As it sits as a random factoid, as you describe, because unless you're going to link some causation to this observation scientifically, then it's just an observation, isn't it? That things do or don't. Well, I'm not sure whether the Brian Cox demonstration was true or not. Do you know what I mean? But irrelevant, the inference being what with regards to it? It doesn't substantiate anything, Spurs.
Have you guys been having these arguments so long that you're really well versed with the argument but forgotten the point of the argument itself? It certainly seems that way to me.
Are we still on the vacuum chamber talk?
Yes, we are, yes.
Hey, Spurs.
He's got a
Have
whole
you ever seen
presentation.
this
He's
video
just sat on
called
mute.
NASA Vacuum Chamber Scam Exposed Must Watch?
I was just
I
making
put it
a
in
point.
Discord for anybody
That was
interested.
all. There's no presentation as such. They tell us that objects fall at the same rate because of this Brian Cox video or experiment, whatever. Again, it's not really for flat earthers. It's for ball earthers to go and investigate and find out if what they believe is true. Because it's a belief, right? A fundy belief, like you said. So if they go and verify it for themselves, will they see things fall at the same rate? And I've showed 2 experiments I found on YouTube where they show they don't fall at the same rate. That was it. Not a big deal.
You still missed the point completely. What relevance does this hold? You said it's for globers. Okay, so why would a glober be interested in the rate of fall in a vacuum? What relevance is it to them?
Nathan, I don't know why the ball earthers believe what they believe. They just need it to fit to a model, their reality. But the point
I know why they do it, Spurs.
Okay.
They're conflating gravity as the downwards acceleration force of 9.8 meters per second squared. They're conflating that speed that objects displace the medium that they're in with gravity. Yet we know that gravity is not a force, and we know that it represents a 50 millionth if they're applying Newtonian principles. It doesn't represent the whole mass falling through a zero medium. But what they're doing is obfuscating the point, and you're begging the question with them. The real point is, so what? Nathan's right. So what? What's it prove? Now you're sucked in by the conversation, and I get it. I've been there too, and I like to beg the question with you. and with them. I like to see where it goes. But the point is, so what? What's it proving? And it isn't proving anything.
No, I'm not trying to prove
And
anything.
it isn't proving anything because didn't you just say that you saw an experiment where things didn't fall at the same rate? So I mean, again, what's the point, Spurs? I guess that's what we're trying to say.
Mhm. So I'm just highlighting, like again, Rumpus, for example, believes that things fall at the same rate. Now, again, that doesn't affect us, but that affects society when people believe things fall at the same rate. People like Rumpus, fundy people with their beliefs. So I was just saying that I was able to show demonstration where things do not fall at the same rate in a vacuum. Now, to us, that means nothing, but to people with a belief, it means everything. They'll start questioning.
No,
I
they
see.
just gonna
So
ignore
you're
it.
just trying to highlight another area in which they're wrong, basically.
That's what we've been doing, aren't we? Proving that
Of
they're
course, sure.
It doesn't
get it.
matter. We can't have a perfect vacuum on Earth.
Thank you. I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Thank
I was
you.
waiting for you or someone. Thank you. Correct. What I was trying to get you to say, Spurs, was we have to work on the premise that we're assuming the sky is a vacuum. Then we're going to start investigating what the vacuum does by creating a chamber on Earth, man-making it, and then exploring what happens inside it. Well, unless you concede that the reason for doing this is because you are begging the question of a sky vacuum, or explain that they are begging the question of a sky vacuum, there's no point to this demonstration. I'm just waiting for the point where you say, well, because they believe the sky is a vacuum. At which point I chop the legs off this argument as... You were on yesterday, weren't you? I've already forgotten your name. JQ, was it, that was talking?
Righteous Force.
Right, no, it wasn't you. Sorry, my bad. I'm mistaking you for someone else. Righteous Force pointed it out for you. You just didn't beg the question. In other words, it's a pointless example of nothing that proves nothing. And it doesn't even when you do beg the question, because you've got to beg the question of space being a bloody vacuum next to gas pressure. Nah, that's where that argument ends.
Yeah, it does. You're right, but for ball earthers don't think like that, do they? They think differently.
Well, they beg the
They
question.
if they thought like us, they'd be flat earthers, right?
Well, it's not about thinking, it's about begging the question. They automatically assume their fundy belief in a sky vacuum, and then set to task about looking at what vacuums do. They haven't proven the sky is a vacuum, but they'll build a little chamber here on Earth and beg the question that the sky is a vacuum, and that's what they're doing their little tests on. Well, they're not. So, unless you beg the question, it's a meaningless example.
Yeah, the starting point is built on, how can I say, the fundamentals is built on begging the question. Everything starts from that point. So stays there.
Like I said, for us flat earthers, it's meaningless. It's pointless. There's no point even just talking about it. But like I say, for ball earthers, like when Rumpus saw this, again, in his world, in his viewpoint, he can't make sense of this. So, you know.
Spurs, let me interject something here. We're back to you playing the role of a psychiatrist wanting to offer therapy. We want to tell them the truth so that they can see that what they are attesting to is false by contrasting it to the truth. We're not going to keep saying we're in Narnia with them.
Yeah. You don't have to. No one's asking you to.
I just did. I just asked you to be. I did. I asked you to beg the question. That was what I was leading you with. What I'm saying is, it's a pointless example until you beg the question. Well, once you beg the question, you're committing a logical fallacy and assuming your outcome. So there's no more necessity to detail any of these so-called experiments, which they're not.
Yeah, not with a flat earther. Because this type of conversation will not get very far with the ball earther. They'll just run away, hide, and say, you know, we don't know what we're talking about. But Rumpus now has to go away. Again, this is not for flat earthers. This is for strictly for ball earthers and the way they think. So now Rumpus will have to think, well, why don't things fall at the same rate? Maybe there's no force. Maybe the earth is flat. Maybe I did get it wrong. Then start looking at things differently. You see? That was just my thought.
No.
I wouldn't hold my breath too tough for Rumpus to change his mind like that.
If you want Rumpus to think that way, you tell him the truth and let him run away saying, dang, there's no vacuum and I can't get around that. And then he's faced with that instead of endless arguments about a vacuum.
Spurs, the other thing to consider is that if you're going to push this with ballers, particularly with Rumpus, you're assuming that Rumpus is intellectually honest.
No, not at all. The video spoke for itself. Rumpus could not respond. It was clear for all to see. You know, if you want evidence of someone who's lying and misdirecting, this is something that, well, you know, this was something that anyone could do, and he saw it twice, possibly 3 times, I think, and the results were there to see. It was validated. Now, he said on the show he validates things by believing NASA. Well, you know, like I say, this argument is not necessarily between me and Rumpus. It's between, you know, the public who believe this nonsense. Now, do they want to believe what Rumpus believes? That they verify things by observing what NASA do. That's how people verify things. So,
yeah, but observation's not verification, though.
Exactly. So when people hear Rumpus say, "Oh, I verify things by watching NASA," what do you think a person who listens to that is going to think?
Yeah, but Spurs, you have to remember that these are the same people that won't accept the definition for supersedes when it comes to gravity and Einstein superseding Newtonian principles, and they won't accept the definition for gravity is that it's not a force. You're dealing with people that are bemused, but will not accept that their current standing in science is antiquated. Why would you bother with them?
Well, I think Rumpus is a changed man today. There's no way.
No, you're not. Rumpus is not a changed man. Rumpus is a science bullshitter.
Yeah.
Hey, Spurs.
I agree, yeah.
Spurs.
And it was clear for everyone to see there yesterday, because we had demonstrations and he denied the demonstrations versus, you know, an institution. So, yeah.
And in true Rumpus form, he's going to fall back and try to come up with some weird explanation of how that works and how you saw what you saw. That's it.
Hold on. What he's actually done is precisely what I tried to get you to do, which is beg the question. Now, when he goes to his hail-worthy priests, that's all he's doing. He's saying, well, in space, blah, 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 blah. Well, he's just begged the question. So he's deferred to someone else who begs the question for him. But it's the exact same principle, Spurs. He's just going, well, in space, somewhere he assumes, somewhere that's not physically possible, somewhere violating several natural laws. In space, it does this. Maybe the demonstration here on Earth is wrong. So all he'll do is he'll push it out into the realm that you can't test. That's all he'll do. And he's done it by saying NASA.
Well, then he needs more help, more assistance.
If I just put a Johnny Globe head on for a second, they may try to remove space and just postulate, and they may just try to postulate that what they're doing by putting it into the vacuum is removing the effects of the atmosphere and drag, and that's the purpose of the setup. But the consequence is they're basically then re-begging the question in another way by defining that if you remove atmospheric effects, the only effect left in the setup is the effect of gravity, and that's just a huge pre-assumption that the gravity is there as a force and it's having an effect.
Hello.
Again, it's just setting up a parlor trick, and a bit like Cavendish, and ascribing a mechanism that's not variable within the system to prove it.
Precisely. Well said. So it's exactly the same as Cavendish. Just a man-made parlour trick that you've suddenly got to explain cause of. No. Natural phenomena observed. Step 1.
But, you know, I think community friendship is a lot more important than just trying to be right for right. You know, we are right, but, you know, we're looking at, we've got flat earthers who believe massive.
Spurs, sorry for interrupting, Spurs, but do you think community friendship is what they give you?
No, I'm talking about flat earthers. There are flat earthers who also believe this mass thing. Okay, so it's not just the ball earthers. There are people out there, all kinds of people who believe in this mass, this force. Now, again,
Einstein said it wasn't a force. George Musa said it wasn't a force. Fight the Flat Earth thought that it was a force, and he thought that George Musa would support him in some way. And when he stabbed him in the eye with a compass, Fight the Flat Earth still thinks that somehow he was supported. So the people that think it's a force, you are the one to tell them it's not. Do you get that?
Yeah, but then what happens? They just say, "Oh, prove it."
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Einstein said it wasn't a force. For you to allow them to preach their nonsense, it's a failing on your part, Spurs.
Yes,
That's
but
why I don't bother going in Jose's channel, because they insist that it is a force, and it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, you just think of it as a force and stop claiming that it's a force.
Yeah, you sucker into that end statement, Armin. Yeah, you just think of it as a force, because I like that little bit.
Come on, Spurs, you're getting trolled and you don't realise it.
Proven it's not a force. I've demonstrated it's not a force. Things don't
No,
fall.
but you're accepting that they think it's a force, and it's not okay to accept that it's a force when everybody in science says it's not.
Yeah, they
Come on,
can't.
Spurs, you're on our side, are you not? Tell them it's not a force.
Yeah, there's no force. It cannot be demonstrated. We cannot prove
Right,
force.
so
of any
don't let
effect.
them think it. If they want to think it, just say Rumpus can think of it as a force, but everybody else knows it's not a force.
Yeah, they do get told that.
Yeah, but they ignore it.
Exactly.
So tell them that they're ignoring it and tell them the science deniers.
Hold on.
and just
At this
leave.
point, don't get into the argument like someone is here ignoring it. They're not. Right? At that point, it's beyond your control. You've put your case. You've given your rebuttals. If they handwave dismiss it at that point, Spurs, that's not your problem.
That's why I don't bother going in Jose's channel, because they all still push that gravity's a force. Well, if they can't accept it's not a force, and they can't accept that it was superseded, not supported by, superseded by Einstein, who said it was maths, then there's no conversation there, Spurs, because they won't accept the current science.
Spurs, you clearly get the point. I'm trying to comprehend what kind of band-aid you want. You clearly want to put some kind of bandage on this for them when you administer the truth. And I'm just wondering, what is it? How else, other than directly and honestly, can you put it to them? Because whether it's baller or flat, it doesn't matter. This is the statement of academia. This isn't an opinion and interpretation. This is their science.
Yeah, because the truth hurts. If you've got a fat person and you say, lose the weight because you're disgusting and fat, okay, and tell them the truth that it doesn't look good, they're not going to lose the weight. They're just going to say, oh, well, you're just attacking me. But if you talk to them, guide them, help them, go through with them the steps of what they need to do, okay, they'll listen to what you have to say. It just seems to me we're saying, you ballers are idiots, you're wrong, you're retards, you're morons, you don't get it, go away and
okay, that's not what would happen. In this equivalent, the fat person would say, yeah, now explain how I can do all of the stuff you've just said with all the cakes and sweets and chocolates, please.
Yeah,
that's what the baller's doing. They're saying, you must beg the question, assume my outcome, and then undo it within the earthbound example, ignoring the begging the question section. And when you do undo it, I'll point to the begging the question that you've allowed me as the get out. That's what you're doing. You'll never win this, Spurs.
No, yeah, well, people are successful if you help them. If you don't help the person, they won't understand what you're trying to explain. You know,
Spurs, did you just hear Nathan's analogy? The way you want to help him is to bring him more cake and ice cream.
No, that's not more cake and ice cream.
It is. You're letting them beg the question. The problem with the argument, Spurs, is undone when you point out that they assume their outcome. That's the end of the argument. At that point, you're saying, well, I don't want to just stop using the man-made experiment they're claiming, even though it's pseudoscience. I don't want to discount that they've got a force that they just can't prove. I want to work within the fallacy and show them how their experiments don't work, because that's what they want to do. And the only reason... Hold on, Spurs. Spurs, hold on. The only reason they want to do that is because, like the fat person with the cake and chocolate, they want to work within the cake and chocolate bit, which is the fallacy bit. The wrong bit is the fallacy bit. The wrong bit is the cake and chocolate bit. But they want you to keep giving them the chocolate and cake, keep letting them beg the question, and then work out how to keep doing what they're doing with the cake and chocolate and the begging the question fallacy, and have you pick it apart from within. Maybe if we time the cakes differently, it'll work. Maybe if we show that the cakes are manufactured badly. No, none of that will work. They just want to eat the cakes. They just want to beg the question.
Right, so you're saying just stop eating food.
What is the
There is
fallacy?
nothing out there healthy to eat. You should have all exactly. You've said cakes and sweets. So this is what they're hearing. What? There's no fruit. There's no vegetable. There's not an alternative to find a way so I can understand what you mean, what I mean, and back and forth. You're just simply dismissing everything they have to say and saying, well, look, food is bad for you. You're overweight. Just stop eating. That's what it sounds like to these people. And, they want another option. Okay, if it's not this, then what can we do to work around this problem? Because they don't want to just stop eating immediately, do they? They're addicted. This is also like an addiction.
Spurs, listen.
Welcome.
Spurs, listen.
What's the fallacy?
Spurs, you're
all
too
of them.
polite to
Any, just to answer Brenda, because she'll just keep interrupting. Any fallacy.
Hey Brenda, I've got to congratulate
not
you
a-
on getting dicked by the 12-year-old guy yesterday called Raymond or whatever his name was. That was beautiful.
Oh, I've not
I
heard
didn't hear
that.
what you
was
said.
brilliant.
What'd you say?
I've not. Is it funny? I've seen you've posted it, Tony. Is it?
Absolutely brilliant. Brenda got absolutely schooled by a 12-year-old.
That's pretty tragic. I did see you post it also. I didn't actually pay much attention to it though. Sorry. Should I be watching this? Is it extremely entertaining?
Can we
Well,
think of
it
it
was-
as you were?
I don't know.
So what is
It all
what is the
it all
fallacy?
depends
in-
if that picture of Brenda is that really you, Brenda?
No, is it balls?
Do you know?
Basically, in a
do you know
nutshell,
what movie
it was the
that's from?
application
No,
of
I'm
Hill-
wondering.
Hold on.
Guys.
Hold on, Anthony. Brenda's been asked a direct question. Can't she just answer it? Was it the picture of you? We don't know until she says no. I don't know what picture
The
you're talking
picture-
about, but I'd
the
like to hear her
picture-
answer.
No, it's not her.
The
She said
picture
it
is from
wasn't
the
her.
movie.
Shut
True
up,
Detective.
Riley. Let her talk.
The
No,
picture
why
is
not?
from the movie True Detective.
Don't know
Alright.
it. Sorry.
I'm 60. I'm
Thank
62
God.
years old, Nathan. I'm not that young.
I haven't seen the picture. I
Whoa.
don't know what they're talking about. I just wanted to hear your response. I don't know what they're talking
Yeah.
about, Brenda. Sorry.
Did, 62?
Okay, Nathan, what is the
Did you say
what
you're
fallacy
62?
is involved in saying that gravity can be treated as a force? What's the
Yeah, it's not a
fallacy?
fault.
It's not really a fallacy, just more complete ignorance of current ball science. So not really a fallacy.
How is it
just-
ignorant?
I didn't quite finish.
How is it ignorant?
Well, because it's not a force.
Brenda,
George
Uh,
Michael,
hold on.
29.
Gravity is
Brenda.
not a force. George Musa, 2019. What part of that don't you understand?
Brenda,
Holy
Yeah.
shit, so Brenda basically got schooled by somebody 5
Whoa.
times younger than her.
he was about 12, yeah.
No, I
Did that
wasn't
maths take
schooled
you
by
that
him.
long, Arwin?
I don't know if you want to conduct a different discussion.
The mathematician on the panel's like, come on, man. Dividing that by 5 took that long?
Sorry.
No,
I think Arwen
Um,
is just in shock right now.
Could you?
I
Could
was in
you
shock
name
about
the
the
fallacy?
62. Okay, Brenda, you sound a lot younger than 62, but that may also be due to
Uh-huh.
your psychological behavior.
Brenda, can I just clarify?
That's just in your imagination.
Brenda,
What fallacy
look.
is involved? What fallacy is involved in stating that gravity can be treated as a force?
Because, well,
Yeah,
I
the
just
language.
answered this. Oh, didn't you hear my answer?
No, because your audio cuts in and out because it gets clipped by your setup.
Oh, right.
It doesn't say it gets treated.
Anyway.
You can just act
That's
as
exactly
if
what
it
he
is.
said.
Okay, can I
that you can
repeat my
treat it as
answer?
a force.
I'll just repeat my answer then. Yeah. Current purveyor of heliocentric religitard nonsense, George Musa, states as follows, quote, gravity is not a force.
Yeah, I asked what fallacy is involved in saying it can be treated as a force.
And I said that's just ignorance, because it's not.
What fallacy? Name the fallacy.
It's not. I keep
fallacy
saying.
of false
She's not
knowledge.
bloody listening to me. It's not. It's just ignorance based on your own science. That's not what it's declared to be. So it's not a fallacy. It's just ignorant.
And it's a misquote because
not
he doesn't
ignorant
say
to
you
say
can treat
something
it.
can
He
be
didn't
treated
say you
as a
can treat it.
force.
He said you can act as if it is a force. Very specifically.
Where's
Yeah, not
where's
treat
the
it.
fallacy? Where's
No,
the
no,
fallacy?
you're,
Name
you're,
it.
you're constantly laying the words in another
Right, she's had her
context,
answer.
like you always
Right,
do.
hold on, Arwin. Right, you've had your answer. Asking the same question 4 more times will just will end up with the same thing as happened yesterday. I'll shut you up. You won't listen to the conversation anymore. I don't want to hear the same question 5 times. Sorry, Brenda, that's just not going to fly.
Yeah,
Brenda,
you
could I
refuse
just
to
ask
answer
you-
the question.
Sorry, now she's accusing me of not answering it. Hold on a
Yes.
second, Brenda. Please don't reply. Question to the panel. Did I answer a question or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you
No.
answered.
What Brenda's doing,
No,
Nathan,
you
is
did
she's
not
a-
answer the question.
Brenda, listen, Brenda. What
Yeah,
you're
sure.
doing is stop. You're applying that Hilbert's paradox of the Grand Hotel principle against Nathan. He's given you an answer, you're ignoring it, and you're applying the infinite context of maths in some way to carry on the conversation. He's given you the answer, you just don't accept it.
He gave you the
do you
answer.
want to
but you're
debate me
thinking of it
about
as that
this
he
on
didn't give you the answer.
on? Do you want to
Yeah.
debate me with this
you
about
can-
this on the debate channel?
Sorry, I talked over you and so did Adam. Say that again, Brenda. Sorry.
Do you want to debate me about this? Any of you, Nathan or Anthony or anybody else, debate me on these issues on the debate channel.
We are on a debate channel. We are debating
No.
you. We listened to your argument. We then gave a rebuttal. You proceeded to ignore it. So what you're saying is, now I need a different platform. Well, we've already taken apart the
No.
argument. We've debated this subject. You've hand-waved, dismissed it, and repeated it a few times.
No, you haven't addressed the argument. Your reply did not address
Sorry,
my question.
did you not
What
listen to
fallacy
the entire
is
panel
involved?
explain that I did respond? Yeah, they all
Yeah.
said the
Well,
only
then I'll
person
put
that
it
says
another
I'm
way.
not is
It is-
you, is talking over me, making the same claim multiple times. We heard your
You're
claim.
spamming.
Then I addressed the panel and asked them if they considered me giving an answer twice and you saying you didn't hear it. Then me repeating it in very still air is giving an answer, which it absolutely is. Now you're just repeating that I haven't. So, last chance warning. Then I'm just going to shut you up because you're just chewing out airtime.
Spamming.
Yes, spam. Verbal spam is what you're doing.
Well, what I'll say then is that you have deliberately misunderstood what George Musser said. You cherry pick his and quote mine what he said to fit your narrative. But a fair understanding of what he said, somebody could understand exactly why it is not fallacious to say that gravity can be treated as
It's the third
a
time
force.
I've said it.
I wonder.
Yeah, but he
Hold
said
on,
it's not
hold on,
forced.
Can I
Hold on,
respond
hold
to
on,
that?
hold on,
Can I
hold on.
Please,
Guys,
Nathan.
for the
No, this
God,
I haven't-
Arwin, when I say guys, hold on, that doesn't mean just keep going until I just let you. So she said fallacious again, even though I made it absolutely clear that I wasn't claiming fallacy, I was claiming ignorance based on their own rhetoric. But she's just declared yet again that she's just decided that we've claimed it's a fallacy when we haven't.
You
Can
used
I
the
also
word
repeat-
fallacy.
Brenda,
We were
You used-
discussing
you used
something
that word. You
different.
said it was fallacious.
Ugh.
There's no fallacy.
I did
Brenda.
not. I said, when you came
Yes,
in and
you
asked
did.
what fallacy, I pointed out that we were discussing all fallacies as applicable with Spurs in his discussion. That's a different subject.
Right. I want
Spurs
an I
is
want
not
an
a
answer
flat
to
earth.
another question, Brenda, please, if you may, if I may. All right. So you claimed that we were quote mining. So do you have any other quotes concerning exactly the same subject from George Musa that actually are different in their interpretability?
Yeah,
So do
he
you have
says
any
that-
other, since we're quote mining, nitpicking?
Yes.
Oh, really? So please
He
present it.
says that gravity
No,
is not a force.
it's going to have to
but
be
it
a
can
quote, not
treated
just
as
a
force.
story.
Hold on. Right. Is this going to be a verbatim quote? If so, please say quote and end quote. Thank you.
No, Musser said that gravity is not a force, but can be treated as a force.
That's not what he said. That wasn't a quote. That was not a quote, and it didn't start with quote
I'm
and end
not-
quote. You've now misquoted him. So when asked if he supports your argument, what you've actually done is misquote him.
I'm not quoting him.
Well, that's
I'm
why I
summing
said,
up what he said.
don't say
I'm
what he...
summarizing
You
him.
said the words, he said, yeah, implying a quote, but it's not a quote.
No.
So you're just a liar
No.
misquoting people. You used the words, he said.
No, when I say he said of anybody, you're just summarizing what they said.
No, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but you
not-
didn't.
it does
no,
not
no, no, no.
imply a
When you
quote.
said no, Brenda, when you specifically say he said, I expect the next words out of your mouth to be the words that came out of his mouth, not a summary based on your presuppositions and your religious belief and your interpretation. I expect a quote. That's why I made it absolutely clear to put the words quote and end quote around what he said.
This is not how actually intelligent people discuss texts.
Oh, shut up. Right, I'm
intelligent
going to shut
people
you
can
up.
sum
Right, I'm
up-
not going to be told that. Shut up. Get out. How dare you tell me that making up a summary is an acceptable way of quoting somebody and that intelligent people just make shit up and misquote people. Get the hell out. That's the last straw.
There's a
was
lot of
absolutely
confusion
ridiculous.
out there
figure out what
with
fallacy it is.
Quote
Brenda. Hold
mining
on
and
a
then not
second.
being able to present an alternative. That's just pathetic.
Hold on a second.
Nathan.
Hold on a second. It's just simple confusion. Number one, Nathan was talking about a different begging the question fallacy that Spurs brought up, right? It was the vacuum. There are no natural vacuums. They're begging the question. Number two, all they have is an effect. They don't have a cause. And number three, the George Musser idiot quote was a non sequitur fallacy because it broke the law of identity and broke the law of non-contradiction. You can't have A, be B. You're following, right? You can't say on one hand that it's a force and then say on the other hand, but you can think it's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. That breaks the law of identity. So it's a non sequitur fallacy. Do you understand? Thank you.
Nathan, put me on screen, please.
No, but
Afternoon, John.
I don't know.
Good morning.
Because
Saying something
Nathan, put me on screen.
is
You
an
are.
X can be treated as an X is not fallacious.
Brenda, here's a citation for you. There are many citations like this one, and you can look them up yourself. This is just one. Shout outs to Chocolate for the link. This is a citation saying how to understand Einstein's theory of gravity. And when we scroll down to the basics that are highlighted by the paragraph talk said the relative basics, the main takeaways behind Einstein's general theory of relativity: 1. Time and space are neither flat nor fixed. They are curved and distorted by mass and energy. This is the next one, Brenda, just for you. Gravity is not a force, but rather a distortion of space and time. Fight the Flat Earth spent weeks trying to debunk me on this one, and then when he got George Musser, he stabbed him in the eye with a compass. So are you going to go against another citation, or are you going to try and support in some way that you're right and that I'm wrong, or are you going to actually concede the point?
What is the fallacy in saying that gravity is not a force?
You're raping language, Brenda.
sequitur.
It doesn't
I
say
just
force.
explained
It
it to you.
Hold on,
specifically
Anthony.
says it's not a
Hold
force.
Not a
on.
non
Hold
sequitur.
on.
That's
Hold
not a non
on.
sequitur.
She's asked a direct question. I said it's just ignorance. John's actually declaring fallacy. Go ahead, John.
Like I said 2 minutes ago, it's a non sequitur fallacy. It breaks the law of identity. What is so hard
False.
to understand about that? Oh, and you say false.
False.
So
Yeah,
just
it is
deny it and waive dismissal. Well, we don't play that game
No.
here. It
What-
is self-evident to a
John, can you
2
explain
year-
what that type of fallacy is,
Oh
please?
my God,
I
non
don't know what
sequitur.
it is.
It doesn't follow.
There's nothing wrong with it. Saying that an X,
Oh God.
saying that something is not an X but
Yeah,
can be treated
sure.
as an X
Okay,
is
no
not
worries.
fallacious.
No worries.
There's
Let's
no
run that.
fallacy.
Okay, no worries. Let's run that. Let's run that course. So a telescope is not an automobile, but you can think of it as an automobile. So can I get into a telescope and drive it?
No, but you can think that you can.
Right, but would it be non sequitur that to then assert that I can in fact get into the telescope and drive it? Which is what Brenda's asserting.
That would be a mistake. That would be a mistake because you can't actually treat a telescope as an automobile, but you
Right.
can.
Oh,
treat
so that would.
Hold
Deny
on.
how
Let
you do
Brenda
that.
Rest
get
in
to the
peace,
end.
Brenda.
Hold on, she's conceding for God's sake.
Yeah.
But you can treat gravity as a force because it manifests as a force. Something Craig said over and over.
Oh,
It
God,
manifests
please
as a
stop.
force.
It doesn't manifest
Sorry,
itself.
who the
as a
hell is
force.
Craig?
It isn't
Hold on.
false.
Sorry, she said she's got a citation. Sorry, who's
Craig-
this? Sorry, is
Craig
it
is-
Sorry, I haven't
that-
finished talking. Is it Dr. Craig? Professor Craig? Who's this Craig? Do you want to cite what he said?
Craig is the owner of the Fight the Flat Earth channel.
That's
his
lovely.
name.
And his qualifications in this subject matter are, and the quote he said, please.
His qualifications is that he's an engineer,
Oh, really?
and the quote is that gravity manifests as a force.
So
Engineering
engineer-
is not science.
Hold on. Engineering. Yeah,
Fight
sorry, you took the
Flat
words out of
Earth,
my mouth.
Really?
Yeah, engineer. That's not a
Engineering is
scientist.
absolutely science.
Brenda,
Of course it is.
Brenda, this is the rebuttal. Yeah, I heard your quote. I heard his credentials. He's not a scientist. He's a bloody YouTuber. So do I give two shits
No,
what he's
he's
got
an
to say?
engineer.
I'm talking. So do I care
You
what
weren't
this
talking.
Brenda, last chance. Global mute button being used, clearly, because the rebuttal's coming. We heard the claim. I asked you to clarify his credentials. You've clarified them. You asked me... you've clarified his quote, which presumably wasn't a direct quote in the slightest. Nevertheless, I'm now going to give my rebuttal. That doesn't mean you immediately use the global mute button and assert the same shit 5 more times over the top of the rebuttal. Yeah? He is not a purveyor of the current pseudoscience. That would be an astrophysicist, the person he was interviewing, the person that contradicted his position, the person that has actually got some sort of credentials in his pseudoscience field to make a statement that's very clear. Gravity is not a force. George Musa, astrophysicist, not an engineer and YouTuber, an astrophysicist, a purveyor of this particular pseudoscience. So whether or not your source, the guy he's disagreeing with in the actual bloody video this YouTuber has made, is irrelevant. He's not got the credentials, his quote is unimportant, he's being disagreed with in the exact video that you've got the quote from.
Did George Muser at any time claim that Craig had misunderstood him?
He said, and I quote, "Gravity is not a force."
But it can be treated as a force.
Sorry, do you want to put that in quotation marks? Did he say treated? Or is that a misquote, misrepresentation, application of your fundamentalist belief?
It's a misquote.
Am
He
I
didn't- he never said that.
Yes, you are misquoting him like you do all the time because you haven't been bothered to actually go and write down the quote, put quotes around it and say it as it's quoted. Because you're lazy. You just want to apply your fundy belief to this shit, talk all over everybody who disagrees, don't let any rebuttal reach the audience. That's what you want to do, you fundy zealot. No, it doesn't get treated as a force. It's a non sequitur, as John puts it. A cannot be not A.
How is be treated as a force not A?
It's not what he said. That's your fundamentalist religious assertion, not a quote from an astrophysicist. Quote from an astrophysicist, George Musa in this instance, being gravity is not a force. Simple.
Yeah, but it can be treated as a force.
No,
He never
he didn't
said
say
that.
that. He
Number
said
one.
you can think of
Oh
it.
my God.
Stop misquoting.
Even if he did
There's
say
no
treated as a
misquoting.
force, it's still a non sequitur.
Saying that he said it can be treated as or it can
No,
be
he
thought
didn't.
of.
He said
Those
think of
are
it
similar
as a force.
statements. There's no contradiction between those.
Oh, really?
Brenda,
No,
it
there
doesn't
is.
matter if he said treat,
No,
if he said
it
think.
matters a lot because treatment actually implies physical interaction. Think of it implies a
Yes, yes, you
separate
can.
No, there's no
conceptualization.
physical interaction if it's not a force to begin with. Are you
That's
kidding?
correct.
Rumpus wants to come on. You guys let him on.
Spot on there.
Thank you, Ranty.
You got it absolutely spot on. She's trying, what she's doing, she's using another word that sounds similar, that she can then apply it to the real world. It's completely different to thinking.
Yeah, because they're similar words. It's
No,
perfectly
there's no
fine to say
partiality.
treated as or thought of as.
No, treatment implies physical interaction. Okay, treatment, right? Thinking implies
No,
thought.
it doesn't imply.
Yes,
physical
it does.
Brenda.
Thinking implies thought, and treatment
Brenda.
implies physical interaction.
Brenda, George Musa literally said that there was no interaction between the moon and the Earth. Literally said that.
Yeah, yeah, he's correct.
Right. So how can it be a force then?
It's not, but it can be
Right.
thought
So
of
you're
and
arguing-
treated as
Yeah.
a force.
Right. And I can think of you as a tree.
You're
Sorry,
dis-
hold
why
on,
are you
hold on a
disagreeing
second,
with,
hold on.
with
Can
the
I just ask a quick
physicist?
question of Brenda?
At this point,
I just want to ask a quick question. So, according to the back and forth, what I've just heard is George Musa declared there is no force between the moon and the Earth. Can I just ask, how did George Musa validate this?
you'll have to ask him. Won't you?
You agreed with him. You just agreed. So you
Yes,
must
I
be
do.
basing your
I do
agreement
agree.
on something that he's presented.
Right. Because that's how relativity works. I understand it. You don't, and you're very confused and angry.
Sorry, I didn't ask.
And you-
sorry, I didn't ask how relativity was applied to it, and I'm asking how that was validated.
It's validated by experiments.
Excellent. You still around, John?
Experimental confirmation of
Yes.
Einstein's theory
Yeah,
of relativity.
we're almost ready. One second.
Excellent. We'll go through it with Brenda.
Einstein has Einstein's theory of relativity is confirmed through experimentation. That's how it's done.
Oh, sorry about that. I have change in the weight of a mass. I forgot who that was.
Einstein's
Sorry.
theory is confirmed by experimentation, Brenda. Can you name one experiment that's confirmed Einstein's theory that conforms with scientific method, please? Just one.
Orbit of Mercury.
No, that's what we're going to do.
Orbit of
Mercury.
Everyone calm down. Everyone, hold on.
Stupid.
Everyone calm
You're
down.
stupid, Kiwi. You can laugh at me,
Just want to hear John and Brenda.
I'm listening.
Natural phenomena observed, please.
Excuse me, I didn't catch the beginning of your sentence. The way Nathan has this set up is I'm not hearing the beginning of sentences that you people are talking.
Your problem. Everyone else can hear them. So just repeat it if you will, John.
Natural phenomena observed, please.
All I heard is not observed, please.
I'll repeat it for you, John. Please, can you provide the natural phenomena observed in this claim of an experiment? Go.
Gravity is an observation of a natural phenomenon.
So, okay, your natural
Gravity
phenomena
is a natural
gravity.
phenomenon.
Okay, gravity, fine.
Yeah.
Excellent. So,
what? The way you have this set up is really bad. It's really bad audio.
Yeah,
this
whatever.
is what you're attempting
Everyone
to
else
prove.
can hear, blah, blah.
That's because everybody else isn't in the Discord.
The beginning of words get cut off sometimes, but you can still make out.
Gravity is
Righteous
what you're
force
attempting to
confirms
prove.
what I
Oh my
said. I
God.
can't hear
But
the
you can
beginning
still
of
make it out,
sentences
Brenda.
because of
Still
how.
make it out.
No, I can't.
She's just trying to get out
Okay.
of it.
I'm in here. I can hear everything clearly, perfectly.
Right.
There you go. There's somebody in the Discord server saying they hear everything clearly and perfectly, Brenda.
Yeah.
So,
And another one who says he can't.
oh, well, that may
Well,
be an
I can still
intermittent
make it
problem
out for
depending on the
myself.
user. I don't need to be rumpus now. We just need to listen up closely, and if you don't hear it, say, pardon. That's conversation. Simple.
Yeah, but then you rage because I can't tell that you're even talking. This is
Oh,
because you're
no
streaming
worries.
from your.
Let's speak a little bit more high-pitched. Make it seem really inoffensive. Okay, Brenda. We'll let you know when we need another question answering.
This is preposterous just on its face right here. She's trying to prove Einsteinian gravity, but she has gravity already in the natural phenomena. This is a begging the question fallacy on its face.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so good job.
Right.
Outstanding.
You don't understand.
Good
you don't
job.
understand the scientific
Why don't you go try
method.
12-year-old Gregory, right? Who handed
You don't
your
understand the
ass
scientific, John.
So this is
John,
ridiculous.
You don't understand the
this is
scientific method.
ridiculous,
You don't
right?
understand it at all.
Yeah, you don't. You don't understand the That's all you have. I mean, you're worse than a child.
What is the scientific method?
This is ridiculous.
You observe. You form
observe
a
what you're
hypothesis,
attempting to prove.
and
Show
then
us
you
gravity.
test it.
I want to see an observation of gravity.
Got there in the end.
That's
Can you show
that's
us
the
it?
thing that we observe. We
Yes,
observe we observe a phenomenon we call gravity, which is
Yeah.
that things fall
Where?
to the ground.
Show us it. Show us it.
What?
Show us it. Show us. A demonstration of it, please. Represent it visually. Do you not understand English?
Yes, I do. Don't you?
Oh, God.
Things fall to the ground. That's the observation.
You said
Everybody
you
knows
said
this.
Hold on. You said that gravity. You specifically said gravity. And now
The
you're saying things-
phenomenon we observe is called gravity. That's what we call
No.
that phenomenon.
No,
Everybody
that's
is
what you're
familiar with.
attempting to prove.
That's what you're attempting to prove. You've said things drop to the ground. That's not gravity. That's things dropping to the ground.
And that's not her
No.
natural observed phenomena. I just wrote it down. Gravity is an observation, is what she said.
Yes,
Now,
we
do you want to
observe
change
the
it?
natural phenomenon we call gravity.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, we call. Who's we?
all of humanity for the last 4,000 years.
Well, that's not me. I'm not included in that. Are you included in that, John?
No, I'm
right. So not all of humanity. It seems you're wrong.
Hold on a second. She said all of humanity calls it gravity for the past 4,000 years.
Yes, the Greeks called it gravitas.
4,000
they
years
had
ago,
their word
right?
for it.
4,000 years ago, they called it gravity. I mean,
they called it gravitas. They had it. It's a different. It's a Greek word
beyond
for
ludicrous
it. Yes.
absurdity here. So I don't know, Nathan.
Yes.
You want me to continue?
Greeks had a word, gravitas, which is their Greek concept for the same.
Give us the quote.
The phenomenon which everybody observes. The phenomenon that everybody observes
years
called
ago.
gravity.
We want the citation.
That's all.
We want the citation. Stop muttering. We want the citation 4,000 years ago. So
no,
this
I'm
is
not
where we're
give
at.
You, I'm not. I don't have to concede to your demands for something
you don't
that's
have
just
to support
common
your
knowledge.
claims.
Okay, that's where you end the conversation then. If you're not going to support your claim of bullshit, bye-bye.
Yep. Later.
Where can one find that ass whooping by a 12-year-old? Thank you.
I posted that in Master B, so can somebody help him out that's in Discord?
Posted what in Master B, what?
The Gregory ass whooping of Brenda, which was, that's only the first part. This kid at 12 years old, he got
you're
some
trying to
stuff
deflect
wrong.
here, QE. You're trying to distract. I know you don't like me showing you being an idiot.
Okay.
I know you don't like being
QE,
exposed as
Oh,
an
well,
idiot.
there's rumpusing going on in the
I can
hangout.
just finish a sentence, it'd be nice.
Yeah, QE is interrupting the rumpus when he's trying to make his point. It's really off-putting.
Yeah, right. So the reason that Musa said...
Who gave you permission to talk?
Actually, no.
John, get a grip over yourself.
Rumpus, can you be quiet for a moment, please?
Musa said... Oh, jeez.
Rumpus, what was
Musa
actually...
said,
Sorry,
Jesus
Rumpus,
Christ.
I'm trying to talk. Rumpus, what actually occurred was there was a conversation between John and Brenda, and that conversation continued. You entered the hangout and decided that you were going to be the centre of attention, but that line was muted because it was nothing to do with the hangout. It was John and Brenda. So for some reason, when I've taken the line off mute, you've decided to entirely rumpus a closed line hangout that you weren't involved in because it was between John and Brenda.
Would you want to get to the cut to the chase, or do you want to dither around working what happened about 4,000 years ago?
It was actually about 30 seconds
get to the nuts and
ago.
bolts of the argument very quickly, which is what you're trying to do.
Oh my God! I was interrupted. You just jumped in.
Yeah.
You clown. Mr. Air is
John,
not
I
the atmosphere.
agree with that, John.
You just jump
But I
right
just
in.
thought- Okay, there's only a limited amount of time left, and I thought you might like to get to the nuts and bolts of the issues you've been trying
Yeah, we want to get to
tackle.
the nuts and bolts. We're right on to you now. We want to know air is not the atmosphere. We want a presentation on how that's true.
Okay, if you really want to change, do people want me to change the subject on
Yes,
the air?
air is not the atmosphere, is your claim. You've made it several times during Bullbusters,
Okay,
and
I
I
will do
replied
that.
to you.
Okay, if you're
I
not
haven't
interested in
finished.
talking about
Rumpus,
gravity, then I'll do that.
the rules
Right,
are going to be as
please let
follows.
Rumpus do it,
While
okay?
I'm
Jesus
talking,
Christ.
you are not. That is the rule here. So
Right.
if you just continually interrupt before somebody's finished a sentence, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that sometimes it seems like there's an opportunity to jump in, but if they continue, I expect you to stop talking, as opposed to living up to your namesake. So yes, air is not the atmosphere, is your claim.
Right, you want to talk about that then, not gravity? Okay. Right, if I have a bottle full of air, that is, the air is defined as being that mix of molecules that can make up a constituency of air, which includes things like argon, carbon dioxide, etc. That is air. And if I have it in a jar, there I have some air. The atmosphere is a very special collection of air that surrounds, well, it's obviously atmosphere around the bodies, but the one we tend to talk about is the Earth's atmosphere. And that we talk about is different just from the mixture of molecules of gases that make it up. That's a
Where'd
body
you get it from?
That's a body that surrounds it. So we talk about a
what
pride
does
of mind.
atmo mean?
Oh, Jesus. So when we
What
talk about,
does
say, a pride of
atmo
lions,
mean?
a
let him
collection
finish.
of lions, that's different from a
atmo?
single lion. So we're talking about a specific body of air.
Right,
That is the
everyone
atmosphere.
except John and Rumpus. Please be quiet.
What
John
is
should
the
let him
meaning
finish.
of
I'm
atmo?
serious here. This is really, really poor show from Flat Earth. We should let the guy speak.
Right.
He did
So
speak.
oh, Jesus.
He was still speaking.
He did speak.
Right. So could I just very nearly there? So there's a big difference between the
God.
collection of molecules that we call air and the body of air with a particular number of molecules that surround the Earth. There's a difference, and we have all sorts of meteorological effects in our atmosphere, and it has a structure that means it's a high pressure at the ground, low vacuum near the top, etc. So that's very different from just saying air, which is simply the collection of air molecules in a particular ratio. So it's very simple.
Thank you.
And the fact that QE can't
Okay, thank you. The ad hominem we can keep. Thank you.
So was that
Are
it?
we done? Ranty, are we done?
No
Just
need.
let me know.
Was that it?
Now that you've heard his entire response, you can answer it. It's fine.
I already heard his entire response. Number one, he got air in a container from somewhere else, right? Where did he get the air from? Well, he got it from the atmosphere. Number two, Atmo. Are you seeing this? Can you read, Rumpus? What does this say? I want you to read this.
Hold on. You need to
what am I supposed to be looking at?
Hold on. Out of interest, while this is going on, how did you get the Hangout link, Rumpus?
Someone asked permission from you, apparently, I thought, to me to enter.
No.
Okay, well, I don't. I won't. Well, they offered me the option. I mean,
no. Who
was it? Jose?
Sorry, who offered you the option?
Well, I'm not going. I was going to say, but I'm not going to say now.
Is it Jose?
I'm not going to say.
Sorry,
it was Jose, wasn't
the
it?
Hangout? Sorry, you're in this Hangout, and I would like to know who gave you the link. Why is everyone rumpusing me? I'd like to know how you got the link to this show. That's not via the.
But I'm not going to tell you.
I haven't quite finished my question. So there's a public link which I make available on Discord, and you're in the Hangout. I'd like to know how you got it.
I know you'd like to know, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell you. Quite simple.
It was Jose, Nathan. Jose.
Anyway, do you want to come in the nuts and bolts?
Yeah, no, I want you to read this.
Yeah, you can see now. It's on screen. Can you read that?
Read it!
Read it out loud, Rumpus, please.
Okay, Atmo, word origin, a combining form meaning air, using in the formation of compounds, words, atmosphere. Yeah, so
Turn
the
out
atmosphere
the
is different
lights on your crayon munching world. That's it for you. Bye-bye now. Okay, Ranty, are we good?
Did
we hear his case?
The body of air around the Earth is the same thing as a jar of air.
Where'd you get it from?
Doesn't matter where I got it from. It's just like saying if I get one line out of a pride of lions, it's different from a pride of lions.
Sorry, Rumpus. Sorry to interrupt again. Please, can you just read it one more time? The highlighted section on screen, please.
Atmo, word origin, a combining form meaning air. Well, let's go and look at another. That's a dictionary.com. It's not.
I'll just read it again while he stutters and stammers. Atmo, word origin, a combining form meaning air. Quote, Rumpus, 2016. Air is not the atmosphere. Rumpus is a moron. And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to all of today's debating panel. If you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching live, unfortunately, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive, huge, enormous thank you also to you in the live audience for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out NathanOakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!